Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing issues with expat bank accounts here in Thailand. The reason I thought of making this video, I was reading a recent article in the Pattaya Mail, that's pattayamail.com. Article is titled, Pattaya Grapevine Casino's a Cash Cow. A lot of information in there, a lot of diverse information in there, way outside the bailiwick of this video. But I thought of making this when reading an excerpt in there under opening a bank account. Quote, it's common knowledge that foreigners wanting to open a Thai bank account may have problems these days. Some visa agents have the right context. Foreigners will have to take out insurance to cover the account, which will push up the initial costs. Reports suggest that Pattaya is throwing up more issues than either Bangkok or Phuket. Well, I can tell you, depending on the bank you go to and depending on your visa status, Bangkok may be a bit of a tricky thing to get a bank account set up. Yeah, unfortunately, banking can be a real obstacle to overcome for a number of different expats here in Thailand. This can especially be the case depending on your visa status. It can also be impacted by your work permit status or lack thereof. We find that a lot of folks that come into Thailand, you know, the ones that really, in my experience, sort of, for lack of a better term, kind of run into the biggest problem with this is they come in sort of saying, okay, I'm looking at being there long term. So they come in and they may get an extended tourist visa, for example. And they come in and they kind of look around and they say, yeah, I think I want to be here long term, but I definitely want to get banking set up, you know, in order to kind of facilitate my move into Thailand. This can be, depending on the bank you're dealing with and depending on your circumstances, this can be difficult all the way to the point of impossible on that particular spectrum. We oftentimes assist a number of clients in banking issues where we can. Sometimes, depending on, again, their underlying visa status, their underlying situation, it may be impossible for them to do it depending on the bank. Oftentimes, we found that we were able to find a solution and get them some kind of banking facility set up so as to then facilitate a later long-term stay here in the kingdom. But the reason for this video is to understand, again, this is kind of one of these things that I think a number of expats who've really never been out here, well, not never, but they've been out here only as tourists, and then they start looking at living here. It's a real presumption. Like there's a number of simple things in one's home country that are quite complex when you live abroad. And in Thailand, that's no different. You know, you can say the same thing. Banking is one of those. People live in, you know, like the United States, they might say, it's easy to set up a bank account. Walk into Bank of America, you know, throw some money in it, give them your ID, and boom, you've got a bank account. You know, here in Thailand, not necessarily the case. Again, and depending on the bank, it might be virtually impossible to get that done. So thinking ahead on banking is a very good idea for prospective expats here in the Kingdom of Thailand.